Welcome back everyone, it is Mike from ManaHoarders. In this video we are bringing you a commander deck check for a Gruul commander, Wulgar of Icewind Dale. You can cast Wulgar for 3 a red and a green. He is a 4/4 human barbarian with melee. His ability reads, if a creature you control attacking would cause a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Before we dive into the deck, let's go over a few key points. First up, the final price for this build came in at $93.54. This does include the price of our commander and all of our lands. Now do bear in mind, some of these prices will vary greatly depending on the quality of the cards you purchase, the vendor you use, and a variety of other factors. Our commander has an ability we have seen on some other permanents and magics past, but this time it is specifically rooted in attacking and combat. Now with that being said, we have plenty of artifacts, creatures, and enchantments that will generate value whenever we do attack. This means our strategy is pretty straightforward. We want to get out our value generating permanents as quickly as possible and start attacking, preferably with our commander on the board. Now let's go ahead and dive into the deck. First up are our artifacts. Arcane Signet can tap to give us one color of our commander's color identity. Golden Egg, whenever it enters we can draw a card. We can also sacrifice it to add 1 mana of any color or gain 3 life. Guild Globe, whenever it enters we can draw a card. We can also sacrifice it to add 2 mana of different colors. Life Crafter's Bestiary, at the beginning of our upkeep we can scry 1, and whenever we cast a creature spell we can pay a green to draw a card. Soul Ring will tap to give us 2 colorless mana. And Sword of the Animist, the equipped creature gets +1/+1, and whenever it attacks we can search our library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle, but with our commander out we will do this twice. Next up are our legends helping out our commander. Captain Lannery Storm, whenever she attacks we will create a treasure token, and whenever we sacrifice a treasure token she gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Delina Wild Mage, whenever she attacks we can roll a d20, if we roll a 1 through 14 we create a tapped attacking token that's a copy of that creature except it's not legendary, and we will exile it at the end of combat. If we roll a 15 through 20 we create one of the tokens and roll again. Itali Primal Storm. The Elder Dinosaur is so good that it would literally be a crime not to include him in this deck. Whenever he attacks, we can exile the top card of each player's library, then we can cast any number of spells from among those cards without paying their mana costs. Ilharg the Raiseboar. Whenever he attacks, we can put a creature card from our hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, and then return that creature to our hand at the beginning of the next end step. Kranko 10 Street Kingpin. Whenever he attacks, he will get a 1/1 counter, then we will create a number of 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal to his power. Nylea Keen-Eyed makes creature spells we cast cost 1 less, and we can pay 2 and a green to reveal the top card of our library if it's a creature card we put into our hand, otherwise we may put it into the graveyard. And Toski, Bearer of Secrets. This little squirrel can't be countered, has indestructible, attacks each combat if able, and whenever a creature we control deals combat damage to a player, we can draw a card. And for our not so legendary creatures, Anger has haste, and as long as it's in our graveyard we control a mountain, all of our creatures have haste. Battlecry Goblin can pump up our goblins, and if we attack with enough power on our board we can generate more. Beast Whisperer, whenever we cast a creature spell we can draw a card. Beast Collar Savant has haste, and we can tap it to add 1 mana of any color to our mana pool, but we can only use that mana to cast creature spells. Blossoming Bog Beast, whenever it attacks we gain 2 life. Then creatures we control gain trample and +X/+X, where X is the amount of life we gain this turn. Clamor Shaman has Riot, and whenever it attacks, target creature an opponent controls can't block. Coastline Marauders, whenever it attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each land defending player controls. Death Gorge Scavenger, whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, we can exile a card from a graveyard. If a creature card is exiled this way, we gain 2 life. If a non-creature card is exiled this way, the Scavenger gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Elvish Mystic can tap to give us a green mana. Fangren Firstborn, whenever it attacks, we can put a +1/+1 counter on each attacking creature. Fintorn Elves taps to give us a green mana. Goblin Anarchomancer makes each spell we cast as red or green cost 1 less. Goblin Trap Run, whenever it attacks we flip 3 coins, and for each flip we win, we create a 1/1 goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. Grenzo's Ruffians has melee, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, it deals that much damage to each other opponent. Hell Rider, whenever a creature we control attacks, Hell Rider deals 1 damage to the defending player. Hoarding Ogre, whenever it attacks we can roll a d20 and generate some treasure tokens. Llanowar Elves taps to give us a green mana. Savage Ventmaw, whenever it attacks we can add 3 red and 3 green to our mana pool, and until end of turn we don't lose that mana as steps and phases end. Siege Dragon, whenever it enters the battlefield, destroy all walls our opponents control, and when it attacks, if the defending player controls no walls, it deals 2 damage to each creature without flying that player controls. Tectonic Giant, whenever it attacks we can deal 3 damage to each opponent or exile the top 2 cards of our library, choose one of them, and until the end of our next turn we can play the card. Wardchief Giant has haste and Myriad. And Wild Beastmaster, whenever it attacks, each other creature we control gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is Wild Beastmaster's power. For our enchantments, Beastmaster Ascension, whenever a creature we control attacks, it gets a quest counter, and as long as it has 7 or more quest counters, creatures we control get +5/+5. Druid's Repository, whenever a creature we control attacks, it gets a charge counter. We can use it to remove a charge counter and add 1 mana of any color. Fires of Yavimaya gives creatures we control haste. Ordeal of Nylea, whenever the enchanted creature control attacks, it gets a 1/1 counter. Then if it has 3 or more 1/1 counters on it, we can sacrifice the Ordeal of Nylea. When we do, we can search our library for 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. Ranger class, we mostly included it for the level 2 ability. Whenever we attack, we can put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature. Shiny Impetus, the enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded, and whenever it attacks, we will create a treasure token. Song of Freyalise, the first 2 modes will allow our creatures to tap for mana, and the last one will pump our team and allow us to run over our opponents. And Wild Growth, we can enchant a land we control and it will tap to add an additional green mana. Moving on to our instance, first day of class, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under our control, it gets a 1/1 counter and gains haste until end of turn. Harrow, we can sacrifice a land to search our library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield, and shuffle. Hunter's Insight, we will choose target creature we control, then when that creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, we will draw that many cards. Ranger's Guile, target creature we control gets +1/+1 and gains hexproof. Return of the Wildspeaker, we can draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures we control, or we can pump our team +3/+3 for all of our non-humans. Seething Song will give us 5 red mana. Thrill of Possibility, we will discard a card to draw 2. And Trumpet Blast will give +2/+0 to all of our attacking creatures until end of turn. We will be including 1 planeswalker in this deck, Vivien, Champion of the Wilds. We included it specifically to give our creature spells flash, and we can also use the +1 ability to give target creature we control vigilance and reach. Moving on to our sorceries, Cathartic Reunion, we can discard 2 cards to draw 3. Cosmotronic Wave deals 1 damage to each creature our opponents control, and those creatures can't block this turn. Cultivate, we can search our library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put 1 onto the battlefield tapped and 1 into our hand. Explore allows it to play an additional land and draw a card. Harmonize allows it to draw 3 cards. Kodama's Reach, we can search our library for 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put 1 onto the battlefield tapped and the other into our hand. Open the Gates, we can search our library for a basic land card or gate card, reveal it, put it into our hand and shuffle. Overrun, creatures we control get +3/+3 and gain trample. Rampant Growth, we can search our library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped and shuffle. Regrowth, we can return target card from our graveyard to our hand. Relentless Assault, we can untap all creatures that attack this turn, then after this main phase there is an additional combat phase, followed by an additional main phase. And Tormenting Voice, we can discard a card to draw 2. And last but not least is our mana base. We are keeping things very basic with 18 basic forests and 17 basic mountains. And just like that, we have reached the end of this Commander Deck Tech. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, tell your friends about us, and leave a comment down below. Let us know what commanders you would like to see us build around in the future. We really appreciate all of your support.